Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a Terran versus Protoss, a certified banger where we find ourselves on the map Inside and Out. Spotting right here in the top right hand corner, playing with the red Protoss probes, we have Strange. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue SCVs, we're looking at Spirit's main command center. This particular game was recently played during the European Regionals of Dreamhack Atlanta. And after this game was broadcasted on Twitch, a bunch of you reached out and mentioned that this game is excellent. So therefore, it is of course a certified banger. Either that, and I find this impossible to imagine, either that or my viewers are wrong. Which, you guys are obviously flawless, perfect, multiple PhDs, incredibly attractive, grandmasters at StarCraft 2. I mean, I don't have to keep describing you to yourself, right? But make sure, by the way, to hit the like button if you haven't already. Thank you very much. That being said, I'm gonna make the assumption that this game is indeed good. So we're gonna find out together exactly what ended up going down between these two right here on Inside and Out. Now, apparently Spirit is starting off this game with some Protoss players' worst nightmare, right? This is one of those annoying openers that is just frustrating to deal with. Generally speaking, Protoss is very build order dependent. More so than, at the very least, as far as it feels to me, more so than the other two races. I mean, as Terran, it's like, okay, you finish up the barracks, you can make a factory. You finish up the factory, you can go make a starport, right? It's not as complex. With Zerg, you can usually go for a build order where you're mostly spending your, your gas, right? So if you have minerals left over and you've already spent all of your larvae, you make some extra queens. You obviously need to know a couple of Zergling timings, but in general, you don't have to be super specific as Zerg, because worst case scenario, even if you're flooding a little bit in the early game, you can just make some extra queens, right? And that doesn't really make Zerg players that sad. Ooh. Protoss, however, definitely is, dependent on dealing damage in the early game, or at the very least playing it very cleanly, and because of that it's quite annoying whenever your build order gets delayed, even if it is just a little bit. So Strange forced to go for the Cybercore quite a bit before that Nexus, and obviously you now have to adjust your pylon timings as well, because usually you actually rely on that Nexus finishing to make sure that you're not hitting a supply block. Anyways, it can be a little bit frustrating. That being said, this Zealot over here, it's trying its very best to chase a Marine that's like twice as tall as the Marine itself. The Zealots are actually massive. Like, you don't really think of that, but apparently, I think according to the lore, a guy in a Marine suit is like 180, like 6 foot. So if the Zealot is that much taller than a Marine, the Zealot must be, must be massive. A Hydra, I think, is supposed to be like 10 foot tall, like 3.5-ish meters. That's the size of a house. I mean, the height of one, anyways. Very small house. if you're talking about the full size of the, anyways, doesn't really matter. Sadly for the Reaper here, though, he's not going to be able to leave that Protoss base, but at the very least, revenge was done right here by Strange. You do love to see that, of course. He's going to go for that shield battery at the front and a robo facility inside of the main. The only thing I know about this game is that it's a long one. So I hope you've got yourself a drink ready to go. Maybe you're sitting back on the couch. Maybe you're watching this while commuting to work. Maybe it's lunchtime at work and you decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and watch like a half-hour-long Lowko video. I'm actually curious, where do you usually watch these videos of mine? Do you have like a go-to spot where you like to watch? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'd be interested to find out. I know that a bunch of you mentioned in the past that, and I still don't really know exactly if this is a compliment or not, but I know that a bunch of you have mentioned in the past that you like to watch my videos as you're trying to fall asleep. I've chosen to take that as a compliment, but maybe that's just self-protection, you know what I mean? Anyways, maybe I should like start shouting in a random castle all of a sudden just to wake up the guys that decided to watch a playlist of my videos. Like, they're watching like 10 of them every night. Just because they're asleep. Anyways, no, I'm not gonna start shouting in my casts. Unless there's an exciting game of StarCraft 2 happening. But I am interested to find out where you guys like to watch the videos. Let me know down below in the comment section. Maybe it's gonna be at a time and at a place that I would not necessarily expect. Personally, I usually watch videos while getting other stuff done. So usually I have like videos playing on my second monitor while, well, for example, editing videos or, doing the things that I like to do. Sometimes I play some RuneScape too whenever, I'm not playing games for a living. I like to play games. So I've been playing quite a bit of old school RuneScape lately. And I'd like to watch, yeah, YouTube videos as well while I'm actually playing that game. That works quite well. I think a lot of you actually probably do that too, where after maybe a long day, you decide to play some games on your own computer as well. Maybe watch some videos while you're playing games. That's what I would imagine anyways. What we've got right here, by the way, is a pretty passive build from the both of them. So while this is a game that was recommended to me, I don't think it got recommended to me because of the early game. This early game, I mean, unless... Okay, matter of fact goes down. Oh, no. Okay, that was bad for my blood pressure. Very annoying play right here, by the way, from Spirit. Constantly retargeting. Yeah, look at him. Okay, eventually that is gonna get picked off, but despite the fact that he didn't really kill a whole lot of workers here, he still denied mining time for a little while. So both of them ended up going down there, but if you look at the... Yep, there it is. If you look at the income advantage graph so far, that is just the Widow Mines being there, right? So what you can do is, if a Widow Mine is burrowed, you can continuously right-click it on, like, opposing units, and it's gonna continuously retarget. And obviously, it's one of those channeling abilities, right? Where it has to channel for, like, a second or so before it actually fires. So if you constantly restart the channeling, you can, well, keep those probes pinned back for a little while longer. Spirit hitting a small little supply block, rather. But of course, he's got that ability from the orbital command that allows him to give supply depots a nice hat. Still not entirely sure why Terran has that mechanic, but it is what it is. Fun fact, actually, about maybe this is the reason as to why. Because I asked this in a previous video once upon a time. Let me just get you the exact numbers as this game progresses. Okay, hold up. Let me alt-tab out for just a second. So, supply depot. Because I didn't know this until like 2 years ago, even though I've been playing and casting this game for a very long time. A supply depot in StarCraft 2 takes 21 seconds to build. An Overlord... Let me look it up. I probably should have prepared this in advance. Yeah, an Overlord is 18 seconds. And then a Pylon is also 18 seconds. So maybe that's the reason as to why Terrans can drop supply depots out of the high heavens. Just because the supply depot takes 3 seconds longer to build. I don't know why. It's kind of silly, to be honest. I actually think that both the supply drop ability as well as the build time difference is a little bit silly. I mean, obviously there's something to be said for asymmetrical balance, but anyhow, that'll be a discussion for another time. The laser boys are out. Spirit was going to use these units aggressively, but decides to now use the stim pack defensively instead. He's like, boys, use the combat drugs. It's time to run back home. Back to the siege tank line. There's another observer over here. Was that one spotted? Super annoying position, by the way. So this is what Spirit sees. I mean, you can kind of see it, but very difficult to actually pick up on very easily. Especially when you're doing a million different things at once. Nice little marine drop in the main base, killing a bunch of workers, but nothing all too crazy. Okay, now 8 minutes into the game is when we finally see the larger armies moving around, right? It's been a pretty passive early game, actually. Obviously, this is how both of these guys like to play. Marine drop now heading on over towards the newly acquired third base right here. By the way, as we'll be making this video, for those of you interested, Strange is currently the rank 43 in the world overall, whereas Spirit is currently the rank 32. So very respectable rankings for sure. Alright, nice little bit of harassment here, and the supply count is looking better and better right now for Spirit. Spirit, though, is very much so the kind of guy who will get more ahead after getting ahead. And I know this sounds like an obvious thing to do, but generally speaking in StarCraft 2, a lot of players, when they get a critical, overwhelming advantage, they will try and go win the game, right? As you would imagine, it's probably a good idea. There is, however, quite a big group of pro gamers in particular that whenever they are at a critical advantage, rather than taking the risk of attacking, because obviously they can mess it up, they decide to just put down another expansion instead and just play the macro game going forward with an even more overwhelming advantage, and then maybe they'll try and close it out when additional upgrades finish. Spirit is very much so in that camp where he loves to just add on additional command centers. Like right now, for example, he is at a very significant supply lead. A lot of Terran players would opt to go for a timing attack based off of this advantage that he's got right now to try and win the game within like the next 2 minutes or so, but Instead, Spirit is very much so the kind of guy who will go for an additional command center and more upgrades and just, yeah, build on that advantage rather than try and take the risk to, you know, potentially like miscontrol it, or maybe you, I don't know, roll into like a disruptor on an accident, right, and you lose a chunk of your army. This is a, I think, theoretical, safer approach, and probably consistently will win you more games in the long run, assuming you're actually able to build on that advantage that you've got. Anyhow, one thing that's really nice here, though, for Protoss, and I'm not even entirely sure if this is that significant of an advantage here for Spirit at all, one thing that Strange has got going for him here really nicely is the fact that he's got double Forge researching for quite a while already. So Terran, look at this. Just started up 2-2. Protoss is already halfway through 3-3, which is a lot. These units, all of these ground units, are gonna pack a punch. And I wouldn't be surprised if Strange is gonna be able to max out right around the time, okay, nice snipe over there, right around the time as he finishes up both of those Forge upgrades too. Okay, decides to do another chrono boost, and I think we'll probably see him attacking as soon as those upgrades are finished. Because that's gonna be a very scary Protoss army. There are ghosts out at this point. Vikings are coming up as well for Spirit. Gonna go for a second starport even, so obviously Liberators and whatnot are always a good transition to have in the later stages of the game. And we are getting to the point where, yeah, Terran definitely has the economy to make that transition if they want to. But usually, before we really see any proper Liberator play, Terran players do like to max out at least once. So you don't really rush that out. Okay, Disruptors are coming up. 3-3 is finishing. Are we really not gonna go for an attack, Strange? Are we really just gonna sit here with 3-3? I think so. Over the years, I've seen many of Spirit's games. Not nearly as many of Strange, but maybe he's also the kind of guy who likes, yeah, doing this, at the very least currently. So these Liberators, I mean, these are Liberators, but these are not Liberators, right? Like the ones that I was just talking about. These are not really fighting Liberators. These are very much so harassment Liberators. They're still good, but... I casted that game recently, where I featured Mr. Harston, where he was going up against Mass Liberator. That was kind of interesting. You could really see the strength of those units if Protoss is not addressing them properly. Anyways, Strange at this point is going to be forced to take an engagement. Both of the Disruptors right there get targeted down by the siege tanks, but look at those upgrades. Those upgrades deal so much damage. This army here from Protoss just does not roll over very quickly. Soon the Colossi are going to be able to retarget their lasers right there on top of that bio ball. And honestly, this yeah, is a pretty good cleanup right now for our Protoss player. Most of the heavy hitters are still here, other than those Disruptors that we saw getting picked off, but at least the Colossi are still alive. There is a planetary over here, a couple of those missile turrets too. Keep in mind that the Colossi are both ground as well as air units. Since they, I guess, take up two levels of the game, they can be hit by missile turrets, as well as Marauders, as well as Vikings and all the rest of it. Everybody can attack the Colossus. I know, it's sad. According to the lore, though, they are absolutely massive. They're like skyscrapers. Anyway. Nice little bit of damage over here, but good zoning as well by Strange, using the Disruptor Balls right here to his advantage. Trying his best to just maximize the damage output over here. Does he have enough to really clean all of this up? I mean, those Colossi are still having a field day, yeah. Together with the Zealots, they just absolutely murdered the mineral line, and while maybe the command center is going to live, I'm not even sure about that. This is already a nice situation right here for Strange, for sure. There is that base on the left. He does know about it, but he's decided to forego attacking that for now. Okay, is he really going to commit, though, on top of a planetary fortress? Okay, he decides to make that move. In the meantime, Terran just stimmed forward, and rather than trying to engage this Protoss army head-on, he's going through the center of the map for a full-on counterattack. Keep in mind, Protoss obviously has mass recall, which I think is going to be a phenomenal research to go... There you go. Yeah, a phenomenal ability to go for right now. He does decide to recall on top of the Nexus. Where are those Colossi going to appear? They decided to... Well, you can't really decide very well. You don't really have full control over that as easily, but they got on the wrong side of that Nexus on that recall. You can kind of... By the way, when the circle pops up, right, when you click the hotkey, you can kind of decide where that would happen, but most players don't have the time to make that move. Anyways, he decided to recall in the middle of that army, and now those laser giraffes got picked off one at a time. Then again, though, the Nexus still lives. Couple of probes ended up going down, but for the Terran player, we saw 2 entire bases getting picked off on top of a whole lot of those SCVs. Okay, Ghost trying to deal whatever damage they can. Nice SimCity right here for Spirit, though. I would like to see those supply depots lifted. I think that probably would be even better. SCVs right now, just transferring, don't mind them. Just bulldozing to the other side. In the meantime, though, that medevac drop, that never actually went home, so the Nexus here eventually is going to fall. But that's another 20 SCVs down the drain. We're now talking only 32 of those workers remaining right now for Spirit, 67 for Strange, but Strange is losing some stuff in the main base too. Not entirely sure if he's going to opt to, recall again. I mean, it's definitely on cooldown right now, but maybe in a little bit he will be able to pull that off once more. Terran reinforcements, though, holding the main base for now. Is Strange going to warp in on this side of the map, or is he going to try and defend at home? I think he's probably going to use most of his reinforcements to try and keep his main base alive. But nice little bit of target firing there from Spirit. Good control on the small group of Marines and Marauders, and they indeed end up killing another Colossus. Now this Protoss army has to make the walk of shame all the way back home. Recall still on cooldown. Probes pulled away as well from their mineral lines, but 15 of them have already gone down. A lot of gateways are unpowered, so Strange at this point has got a lot of money in the bank, but really no proper way to spend it. Yeah, nice targeting by Spirit, getting rid of those powered structures, at least temporarily. But I don't think it was quite enough to obtain the victory just yet. There is, however, another army right here on the left that also took a trip in the medevacs. And, well, apparently they managed to snipe another Nexus. Command centers, of course, can fly, right? So, despite the fact that maybe this didn't go all too great for Spirit, I think in the end, this is actually quite playable for him. Okay, there's another medevac drop. I mean, Protoss at this point doesn't have a whole lot anymore. He's been spending his money. He really needs to add on a pylon over there to repower those structures. Anyhow, Spirit sneaking the medevacs on the perimeter on the outside of the map, trying to go around, and Strange once again trying to go full bulldozer straight through the center, but as soon as Protoss, well, gets spotted on the other side of the map, I've got a feeling that Spirit is going to commit. He doesn't actually see this Protoss army moving out, but he's gonna find out in just a moment. At this point, he's completely in the dark. Well, now he should see it. There you go. Now he sees that indeed there is once again a massive Protoss force, and that's exactly when those medevacs start moving forward. It makes a lot of sense, but recall is once again available, so maybe that is something that Strange will opt for here in just a second. 19 SCVs have gone down, but probes are dying on the other side of the map. Another medevac drop right here at the previous third base of Protoss, also getting a lot of work done. Is he ambitious enough to recall again? I don't think so. Nope. Probes are coming across the map too, so the main base here of Protoss is being completely abandoned, and he's gonna try and force the Terran player to do the same thing right now. Those lasers in that choke point getting so much damage in, but at the very least one of the Colossi ends up going down. This is the point where Spirit decides to lift up all the structures. He's saying, yo, I'm out of here. This is obviously one of the reasons why base racing at Terran is very dangerous, because they can lift up their structures. Protoss is going to lose, well, pretty much all of the infrastructure over here. They're going to have to rebuild if they want to continue playing this game. Whereas Spirit is going to be able to evacuate the structures on out of there and potentially continue mining here to, get some more income in a moment. There is, however, a good amount of money in the bank right here for Strange. So he does have enough to go for another Nexus, and he's gonna need it because all of his Nexi just got destroyed right here by Spirit, who can now see exactly what's going on. Okay, a new Nexus is acquired. This is right within vision of the refineries, so Spirit knows where he needs to be looking for his opponent's stuff. In the meantime, okay, Terran is setting up shop right here in the top left-hand corner, missile turrets, bunkers. He's creating a safe haven for all of those Terran units. But the command center, I mean, it's barely off-screen. Or on-screen, I guess. Anyways, it's heading on over towards that top left-hand corner, but most of the production structures are still hanging out above the main base instead. Okay, they're now also making a beeline towards the top left instead. Nexus at this point about halfway done. Probes are going to be able to continue returning resources there in a minute. But this game was just flipped upside down. Okay, I think we found the reason as to why this game was recommended to me. Okay. So, army-wise, let's see. Army-wise, I think I prefer the Protoss here. But one really nice thing for Spirit is that he's got still all of those production structures, right? Like, if you add like another 10 Marauders in this mix, suddenly this Protoss army doesn't look nearly that scary. Protoss does still have some structures over here on the other side of the map. Obviously, those upgrades will still count. Terran is actually making a Banshee over here. You know what? I actually kind of love it. So, Spirit decided to leave a starport behind. He decided to add a tech lab to it, and a Banshee here to harass that one base of Strange actually is pretty smart. He's gonna need to build a bunch of supply depots, though. He's only got a single orbital command, so no more supply depot heads here, at least for a little bit. Gonna continue mining gas, but I think you want to cancel that Banshee here for a moment, dude. I think I think you need to spend that money on additional depots for the time being. Anyways, the Stalkers are apparently feeling ambitious. They're gonna try and figure out what's happening here in the top left, and they figured out that indeed, well, that's a very, very difficult position to break. This is where you wish you had those disruptors still available, because disruptors rolling down this ramp over here, destroying the structures over time would be pretty sweet. Another Stimpak was used right there, but that is definitely something that Strange will be paying attention to, and gonna be able to blink those units back to safety pretty easily. Okay. Banshee, by the way, finally is building. Cloaking is coming up too. Spirit now dropping his own third base, which I kind of like. Okay, a couple probes end up going down here, but nothing too crazy. Actually, Strange does not really have, okay, proper high ground vision until that Colossus and the Warfrism got closer by, but decided to now go for the other third base here that we normally see Terran players take when they spawn in the bottom left, but apparently Strange is saying, nope, those are mine. Spirit now spots this as well, which is quite nice. What about that Banshee? Okay, he is actually going to save up multiples of it, so that is going to be pretty powerful as soon as these have cloaking field. I mean, is there any detection? Okay, there's one observer, but the observer is, of course, scouting the other side of the map. Yeah, Strange moving that observer around here continually to figure out exactly what's happening. He saw the SCV sneaking it over towards the 12 o'clock position, and Spirit is now going to start mining his opponent's third base. Excellent. Here's the Protoss army, though. Apparently, Strange is feeling confident that he can get some work done on the other side of the map, and I don't blame him. Might be time for those Banshees, though, to go in. A Widowmine was also made. I mean, I kind of love this harassment. Widowmine on the edge, I guess will do quite well. Careful, though. You don't really want to lose your Zealots for free. Okay, good EMPs right there on both of those Archons in the front. Widowmine hitting from the high ground, which I kind of love. Banshees now going in as well, and this is going to hurt. I mean, he can once again recall, but I love the fact that Spirit, in the middle of that crisis, decided, you know what? I'm gonna leave a factory and a starport over there so I can start harassing my own third base. That is, yeah, some pretty clever thinking. This Widowmine, by the way, has been repositioned over here, and this is... Ooh, okay, I was gonna say, if that recall is going to complete... Oh, it was just the Observer that got recalled, I see. Anyways... Okay, at least the Widowmine gets destroyed, and at least one of the Banshees goes down, but that is some excellent thinking right there by Spirit. Go, go, go. There you go. Super annoying, right? You actually see what the full upgrades right now. Apparently, yep, the Banshee not as powerful. Okay. In the meantime, at the 12 o'clock position, at the Protoss player's third base, the Terran is securing an orbital command over here. He's going for another Banshee. Can we get, yeah, 200 plus workers in one game? I think we are getting to the point where 200 workers are killed. Funnily enough, supplies essentially dead even. Resources lost, pretty similar as well. This game has been reset at like the 17-minute mark. Now, this is a position you can't really break, though. So this is what I was talking about, right? So in order for, like, Strange, so he's actually repowered some of the stuff over here. He could actually make a Robo Bay. I don't think it's a terrible choice, but it is kind of tricky. He's not figured out, by the way, that, like, the units are coming from the main base of the Terran. It is kind of brilliant, actually. I really like what Spirit does with these two structures. That is so clever. Yeah, you don't expect that. He's assuming it's coming from the top left. Anyhow, I think going for Robo Bay units is going to be super critical, and I think Strange is thinking the same thing too. It's just that those units are so expensive, and you really can't rebuild a lot of it off of a very small economy. More and more workers are going down, the Widowmine from the high ground being an absolute nuisance. 105 probes have been killed in this game so far. But Strange does have a pretty strong army. But I think Spirit has been outpacing Strange here over the course of the last couple of minutes. Yeah. Continuously putting down these piggy bank bunkers. You can always salvage them if you need to. But slowly trying to create his influence on this map once again. I mean, Strange up with his back against the wall. He made one adventure towards the top left with his full force. And then immediately had to move back home because of the Terran player, well, harassing those mineral lines of his. He didn't have quite enough. I don't see how he's going to break this without, like, more higher tier units. I mean, you're not going to be able to run through this with a gateway-based army. I don't believe it. But in order to go for a Robo Bay, you're going to need a lot of resources, and he has only got 38 probes. Or actually, not even. He's only got 25 probes. I looked right there at the bottom part of the scoreboard. Do I want to flip the scoreboard right now, since the blue player is now in the top section of the map? I guess so. Strange is now in the bottom. Alright, I flipped the scoreboard. Makes a little bit more sense. This base is not as well protected as the one in the top left, but Spirit's still going for his clever Sim City. Is there enough for Strange to break through this? He's going to try right now. He believes this is the moment to strike. 10 probes once again have gone down, by the way. That's another Widow Mine, I think, that hit from the high ground. Banshee over here. Oh no, actually a Liberator over here, being very annoying too, but I'm gonna keep my eye out on this harassment right over here up north, because this is what Strange is planning to win this game with. Massive engagement. Terran trying to back up the Marines right there to make sure that they are safely behind the Marauders. At this point, it's mostly Marauders remaining, but a lot of them are in low HP. Another Stimpack was just now used, and I don't think that running is a terrible idea because there's not that much Medevac energy available to bring all of those units back up to full. Colossus over here, 18 confirmed kills. Both players losing a lot of their armies, but I think in the end, it's basically even with one of the Colossi still up in the air. Command Center forced to lift off as well. That one's now burning down slowly but surely. A lot of SCVs were killed, and we are indeed at 200 and plus. Well, 200 and plus? Anyways, 200 plus workers killed in this game. You know what? I've got a feeling this orbital command, super important, indeed also goes down. I wasn't convinced about that engagement. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that Protoss was not in that good of a spot to take that fight there against a very well spread out Terran army. But maybe part of that is due to the fact that Spirit still had a bunch of units apparently inside of Medevacs. Reinforcing Terran units now, heading on over towards the third base that was previously his. He's gonna start sniping down whatever he can. That Nexus also unlikely to stay alive. Strange is making the walk of shame all the way back home. And at this point, we're still talking 3 Marauders being produced at once. Without an Immortal or anything in the mix, Strange is going to have a very hard time dealing with those units. What Strange does have, though, is a pretty decent economy here, all things considered. Yeah. I mean, it was dead even for a little while. That's kind of funny. Anyways, he's, yeah, not in the best position, but I can't imagine that Terran has a lot of mining to do here in the top left either. Now, a lot of these mineral fields are running very low, so about half of that mineral line is just about to disappear. So both players are going to have to secure another base. I do think it's probably easier for Strange to take this Nexus over here in the bottom right than it is for Spirit to expand from here. I mean, he can try and take that one again. He can try and go for the one over here, but not entirely convinced that all of that is a great idea. Another group of Marines and Marauders, though, and 2 Medevacs, heading on over towards that 6 o'clock position. Widow Mine over here as well, just wandering around, blah, 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 blah. There you go, it's gonna barrel, and everything's going to die. Recall being used on the majority of that Protoss army once again. Will we get a little bit lower, a little bit luckier this time around? That was not that bad of a recall. Spirit instead decided to run away, did not want to take the fight, did not want to take the chance to potentially get another one of those Colossi. Okay, overextension there from Spirit for sure, but keep in mind, now that recall is once again gonna be on cooldown for quite a while. Good split. Beautiful micro there by Strange. $11 workers versus 21. 11 workers is less than you start the game with. It's gonna be hard to secure 400 minerals with just that. One Marauder. Okay, we've seen Spirit lose a bunch of units for free. If you look right now at the income, okay, it's still slightly in favor of Spirit. But, okay, yeah, he just decides to fly this command center away entirely. Take the mineral hit for now. It's not going to be any mining here for like 30 seconds, but once he's up and running once again, I think that he's going to be able to boost up that income of his quite a bit, but that does mean that he's going to need to wait for a little bit, and those zealots, I mean, these are fully upgraded zealots, they certainly pack a punch. Okay, nice snipes. Medevac drop. Quadruple medevac drop. Inside of his old main base. This Widow Mine, where did that come from, Strange? Yeah, I was gonna say, that is a suspicious Widow Mine. Why would it be wandering down that ramp? Strange still has not found those two structures in the main base of the Terran, by the way. He's gonna make a move again. Okay, this is very ambitious. Medevac's decided to also go back home. Strange actually now sees this. And he sees that the Terran is retreating. If Terran's on that side of the map, though, you might be able to split off a couple zealots to go for the northern base. Although, very carefully, though, that Colossus... Oh, my God. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Okay, he does pick it up and get it out of there. Massive EMP, though, on top of all of the zealots. Stalker's also in a little bit of trouble. Colossus mostly just walking. A couple of the zealots, though, managed to flip all the way around that army. 14 SCVs have gone down. Only 4 workers remain right now for Spirit. Some of the probes apparently hiding inside of the main base, but... I mean, the old main base anyways. That Colossus, man. That Colossus has 32 kills. If that guy falls, this party here is going to be demoralized at the very least. Stalker's taking a lot of damage. Good splits right there from Spirit, trying to keep as many of those units alive. Prism goes down. Prism with the Colossus inside of it, and that's all you need, man. As soon as the hero Colossus goes down, you have to tap out. So after a 30-minute long back and forth, it's Spirit who obtains the victory.